English book, lesson number 3, 2 stories about flying. It's very interesting story. We shall be learning a lesson for life. How is it? Since you are in 10th standard, it is going to be very helpful to you. So let's see this. There are 2 parts. Part 2, the Black Aeroplane. The author is Frederick Forsyth. Let's see the introduction of the author. Frederick McCarthy Forsyth was born on 25th August 1938. He is an English author, journalist for the Daily Express, spy and occasional political commentator. He is best known for thrillers such as The Day of the Jackal, The Odessa File, The Fourth Protocol, The Dogs of War, The Devil's Alternative, The Feast of God, Icon, The Veteran, Avenger, The Afghan, The Cobra, and The Kill List. These are some of his best thrillers. In this particular lesson, we are going to see that how there is a mystery in an aeroplane. A pilot is having an aeroplane, and when his fuel gets over, he could see that there is one more black color aeroplane which is helping him to land safely. So let's see to this mysterious and suspense story. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone high up above the sleeping countryside. I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. I looked at my watch. 1:30. The moon was coming up in the east side behind it, and the stars were shining in the clear sky because it was the evening time. And there was no cloud which could say that it is going to rain. And he was very happy to be alone. Now, the pilot is taking the old Dakota aeroplane and going back to England. That I should call Paris control soon, I thought, as I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane. I saw the lights of big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS088 here. Can you hear me? I am on my way to England. Over. Now he has sent a message that he is coming back to England, taking the Dakota DS088 aeroplane. The voice from the radio answered me immediately.
You are to turn 12 degrees west now, DS088, over.
Now, the radio has replied him that you need to take 20 degrees west to the plane. I checked the map and the compass, switched over to my second and last fuel tank, and turned the Dakota 12 degrees west towards England. Now he has already checked the map and the compass. Compass is a device to check the directions. And he changed the 12 degrees to the west. I'll be in time for breakfast, I thought. A good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. Now he's thinking that he is going back home and he is going to have good big English breakfast. Everything is in his mind. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me when I saw the clouds. Storm clouds. They were huge. They looked like black mountains standing in front of me across the sky. I knew I could not fly up and over them, and I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to the north or south. He could see that Paris is 150 kilometers behind him, and he could see the big clouds, storm clouds, and he could not go back because he did not have enough fuel. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to get home. I wanted that breakfast. He has no fuel. He has already told that he needs to go back 12 degrees west. Neither he can go to the north or south, and there is a big storm cloud. I'll take the risk, I thought, and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. He could not see, but he has taken a risk because he wants to reach for the breakfast. Inside the clouds, everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the aeroplane. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. I looked at the compass. I couldn't believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. The compass was not working, and he has already taken the risk on which side he has to go. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. I tried the radio. Paris control, can you hear me? There was no answer. The radio was dead too. I had no radio, no compass, and I could not see where I was. I was lost in the storm. Then in the black clouds quite near me, I saw another aeroplane. It had no lights on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved. He had no radio, he had no compass, he had no fuel. But during this time, he could see another aeroplane just close to him, and he felt a kind of relief that there is someone else who is there with me, and that another pilot waved him. Follow me, he was saying, follow me. He knows that I am lost. He is trying to help me. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota so that it would be easier for me to follow him. I was very happy to go behind the strange airplane like an obedient child. Now the other pilot has waved him and said that come and follow me. So this pilot is just moving behind him blindly, just like an obedient child. After half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. Now there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes more. I was starting to feel frightened again, but then he started to go down and I followed through the storm. He knew that there is no enough fuel and it will take 5 or 10 minutes more, but he started landing down. Suddenly I came out of the clouds and saw 2 long straight lines of lights in front of me. It was a runway, an airport. I was safe. I turned to look for my friend in the black aeroplane. but the sky was empty. There was nothing there. The black aeroplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. He was frightened that his plane is coming down. But after coming out of the clouds, he realized that he is already coming on the runway and he is reached safe there. He tried to look out for the black aeroplane, but he could not find it. Actually, the black aeroplane was just coming before him, but when he landed, there was no black aeroplane. I landed and was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. I went and I asked a woman in the control center where I was and who the other pilot was. I wanted to say thank you. So as soon as he got down from the plane, he came to the control tower and he asked the control center. The woman was sitting there and said who was the next pilot who was there and who had helped me out during this critical situation, because he wanted to say thank you. And she looked at me very strangely and then laughed. Another aeroplane? Out there in this storm? No other airplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. And she was very much surprised to say that another aeroplane? There was no any other aeroplane. Yours was the only one which was flying and I could see on the radar. Radar is a device for determining the presence of the location of the object. So, who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or radio and without any more fuel in my tanks? Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without lights? So now this pilot is very much surprised that there was no aeroplane and no pilot. Then who was there to help me out? And that mystery remains untold because it's a thriller story. Now we could imagine how terrible flight it would have been for this pilot. He wants to go back to his house, he wants to have a good English breakfast, he is very much happy and feeling very glad within himself that I am going back to my house. But on the way there is no compass, no fuel, no radar, and he was helpless. And during that time, suddenly a black aeroplane comes. He asks him to follow him and he blindly moves about with him in the cloudy storms. And he is passing those clouds and he is reaching safely to the runways. And when he comes back and he asks to the control room and said who was the next pilot who has helped him. And it was very strange that woman says that yours was the only aeroplane which was flying tonight. All others were cancelled. So he also is very much surprised that who was the pilot and who was flying in the aeroplane. Now we can compare this, that at times in your life when you are in difficulties, when you are simply mesmerized with something, when there is no one in your life to help you out, you feel lost, there is no one to encourage you. Remember, there is unknown person and that is God only who can help you out. At times you have to walk alone, you need to fly alone, you need to achieve success in your life, but there is no one to help you out. So you don't need to be gloomy, You don't need to discourage yourself. Remember that at least God is always on your side. So I hope that in this particular lesson, 2 stories about flying, you will learn that during this year, when we are crowded with uncertainties, there is no future. How will you do it? How will you move in your life? You need to trust God. Take courage. Always encourage yourself. Be positive in your thinking. Work hard, and I am sure you will do well. God bless you.